Hello, once again I'm Cosmic, and on this episode of Early Access Examination we're going to be taking a look at the Kickstarter funded real-time strategy Satellite Reign. The game is being developed by independent developer 5 Live Studios, who are a small team of developers who have previously worked on games such as the Syndicate series, LA Noire and Darksiders 2. Satellite Reign was kickstarted to the tune of £461,000 after surpassing its original £350,000 goal. The game has now arrived on early access, no doubt to both receive feedback from players and to be able to receive more finance from consumers. Satellite Reign is a real-time strategy set in a futuristic cyberpunk city. Mega corporations run everything, with the wealthy at the top and the poor in the city slums. The city that you play in is divided into 4 main districts, each one controlled by a different faction. This early access pre-alpha version contains the entirety of the first district, which is the downtown district. The game is aiming to be an open world and non-linear. Essentially, the developers are trying to give you a world to play in, and how you go about achieving your goals is up to you. Those who remember the original Syndicate will be having huge nostalgia looking at the gameplay, as it very much looks like Syndicate in modern clothing. So far as I can tell, the game is certainly shaping up to be a spiritual successor to Syndicate. Similar to the Syndicate games of old, you take control of 4 agents who have different classes, which are the Soldier, Support, Assassin and Hacker. Agents are denoted by the numbers that they have above their head, which also act as hotkeys should you wish to change your current selection in a timely fashion. Each class has different abilities both in and out of combat. The support class, for example, has a world scan ability that can detect interesting persons or objects in the immediate surrounding. The classes have a level system that once you level up, you gain points to place into different abilities to improve both passive and active skills. The gameplay that is actually currently available is somewhat limited. First, let's start off with the combat. The combat is pretty straightforward. Once you have switched from incognito mode to weapons ready mode by pressing the spacebar, you'll simply right click an enemy to start firing. The difference between incognito mode and weapons ready mode is that in incognito mode your weapons are hidden so that civilians that are passing by won't be alarmed at you, but if you have your weapons ready mode on, civilians will run away, and if you see any police forces they will come and attack you. The game also employs a cover system for both combat and stealth. When you have your characters selected and you hover the mouse over any object such as a wall, you'll get markers as to where your agents will take cover should you decide to move them there. The combat overall feels very similar to Dawn of War 2, whereby you're taking your squad from cover to cover, using abilities, and it's very similar to that kind of game. I still think that the combat needs a lot of work to make it more interesting. First, the AI needs a lot of work to make it more challenging, as there doesn't really seem to be any AI at the moment at all. Secondly, the pathing of both player-controlled characters and AI needs work, as pathing just doesn't seem to work at the moment. Thirdly, a progression of enemies is needed to keep the challenge. You'll need more than just a couple of enemy types in different skins to keep it fresh and interesting. I certainly feel that alongside a progression of enemies, you also need those enemies to have a progression of mechanics, so that, tougher enemies have newer mechanics so that you have to adapt in battle to keep it challenging. Finally, the abilities that are yet to be implemented need to be something cool. You need abilities that can change the flow of battle or add new options to your tactics. The combat certainly needs to feel interesting, as you'll be doing it quite a lot. The mission system in the current version is also limited, and your progression within it is also limited due to many of the game's features not yet being implemented. Ultimately, I think the current missions are a showcase of the game's core functionality rather than a view of what's to come in terms of the missions, and the reason I say that is because each mission has you doing the exact same thing, which is infiltrating a facility. If that is all the missions are going to be in the final game, well, it's going to be pretty dull. That being said, one thing I was happy to see was the emphasis on achieving your goal in your own way. Each objective has multiple paths. You can go in guns blazing with the entire squad, or just send in one agent and focus on stealth. There are a variety of tactics for you to use, and I really hope that the developers build upon this foundation further. Your agents have portraits at the bottom of the screen which display their health, energy for things like sprinting, and experience bars. They have also got a wanted level to the side of each portrait, which is very similar to a Grand Theft Auto style of wanted bar. This will show you when you've entered a restricted area, or it will increase if you cause too much trouble by having firefights and killing people. The bar will increase so that more enforcement arrives, and should you run away from the battle, if you've got a wanted level on you and you run in view of a security camera, the security camera will pick you up and send enforcement to your location. Agents each also have a loadout that you can equip them with different weapons, armor and cybernetic upgrades that will affect their stats. You will also come across designs such as weapons plans that once you have researched them on the research tab, which requires time and money, it will give you access to those items and you can then build them and equip your agents with them. Currently, there isn't much in the way of items in the game at the moment, and I would certainly hope to see a lot more items in game come the full release. The world itself is a simulated city. As you walk through the streets, people will be going about their daily lives, police will be on patrol, hover cars will zoom down the roads, which incidentally you can also get in, but it's not as fun as you think because it's essentially on rails so that you can't veer from the road, or if a car bugs in front of you, you won't be able to progress any further, which is quite annoying. The city looks great. It looks both depressing and full of vibrant life as the neon lit billboards kind of shine off the wet concrete floors. Graphically, even in this early build of the game, it is looking very nice. The animations look smooth, and the graphical effects such as rain, gunfire and explosions are all visually pleasing. The art style the team has gone for is very eye-catching. The neon colours against the sea of grey stands out really well. Everything in the world thus far looks really good. Visually, the biggest issue currently is the UI. It just doesn't work well. Character portraits are too small, text is hard to read and often blurred or even outright glitched. The menus don't look very good due to their current layout, nothing flows very well, sometimes you can't even tell if something can be pressed or not. Ultimately, the current menus and overall UI is pretty much a mess and definitely needs a rework. It is possible that this was a temporary UI, however, if this is what they were going to be going for, please don't. Everything from the aiming reticles to the character portraits need redesigned. A clear, fluid and vivid UI design will go a long way. In this early access build currently, there is no real tutorial, and due to the main story thus far not yet being implemented in any big way, if you're looking for a well-told narrative at this point, you won't find it here. I certainly feel that once the game reaches full release, the writing and overall narrative will be crucial in keeping people playing. While I am for all the emerging gameplay that the game is trying to provide, you still need a good story and narrative to find a reason to do what you're doing. In terms of future content, the developers have stated that there is an array of features to come. Things like additional skills, abilities, weapons, items, plus a factional relationships and a propaganda system. There will of course be more districts to play through, but whether these will actually be released throughout early access or saved until full release is unclear. Another feature yet to be implemented is cloning, and from what it looks like, cloning could be the feature that serves as a character customization tab, as well as an explanation as to why your agents can respawn after they die. At the end of the day, this build is a very early build, and it's clear that there is a ton of content yet to be implemented. The future content does sound promising, but we shall have to wait and see what actually comes of it. I must warn you that in this version there are a ton of bugs, and it's not just small bugs, there is occasionally some progress hampering stuff in here. Not only is there a lot of bugs, but a ton of the game features have yet to be implemented. As such, you're realistically only getting a skeleton of a game, but it does have some very nice looking bones. I feel that amply sums up the entire early access build currently. Yes, it does hold a lot of potential and looks really nice, but in terms of actual game to play, as of yet there's not much to it. I think unless you're dead set on being involved in the testing right now, you may wish to hold off until the game has a lot more content. For the price tag that you're actually paying, I would recommend that people wait until release, or at least very late on in early access, until more of the features have been implemented and there's more actual game to play. And that is an early access examination of Satellite Reign. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Do like, subscribe and leave a comment. Please share the video, and I will see you next time.